Okay, so your first step is you're gonna cut a piece of fabric that is 10.5 this way by 14.5 that way. After you do that, you're going to bring these two sides together like this. And then in my next step, I'm going to show you how to stitch down here and down here. But if you're doing multiple masks, then you can stack those all up together and do them all at the same time. So I marked from here to there 2.5 inches, and then you're gonna mark right here at 2.5, and then sew, and then you're gonna skip until it's like that again, so it's 2.5, and sew. Then when you come off, there's gonna be an opening right here. And that is where the filter is going to go in. So then you're going to iron this down like that. So this is the center where the filter is going to go once it's turned inside out. Machine, and you've sewn here and you've sewn here, then you're going to take it and you're going to put that right in the center, so the seam's right in the center, and fold the flaps one way or the other. Then you're going to press down real firmly like that. So I'll do that one more time. So here I've taken that seam with the opening, and I have put that right in the center, and I'm going to press it. Now the next step is I took a template and made a 1/2 inch cutouts on it, and it's just going to go right here in the center. A little trick that I did. This is a template that I made that has the cuts, which I believe are 1.5 inches on each corner. And what I did to increase production is, after I sew the piece together that looks like this, I put the template on the square, and then I mark it off with a chalk or marking pen on the 4 corners, like that. So I just marked these corners along here, the 4 corners, and you're gonna take and come over here and sew them. Now, if you were just making one, you would go to the next corner and the other. But if you're doing multiple corners, you can come over and do 2 corners on each piece, one after the other, and then come back if you're doing production style. So if you're doing 100 of these or 20 or whatever, and then you snip the corners, the threads I mean, and then you've got the 2 sides all done. Then you're going to come back and do the other ones. sure you rewind, back up it at the beginning and the end to give it the extra durability. So now I'm coming back and doing my other sets. So it's all connected like that, and you're going to snip the threads. So sometimes you have to, if you're not working on white fabric, you have to feel it to see where you're going to trim off all the extra. You're going to trim this all down. And then through this hole in the center, you're going to turn this inside out and making sure that you get all those points out to where they're going to be really important when you do the last steps of this. So the better that those points are, the easier the last step is going to be when you do your final tuck to form for it to go over the face. This didn't get so it should have gone like that. So now you're going to go over to the ironing board and iron them, but we'll do one more. I usually do all the same kind of steps all at the same time to make it quicker as far as production. So run off like 25 or 50 of these all at once and iron them all at once at the same time. So there we go. So here we have a piece that I am working on right now where I sew the 4 corners, and then you're going to turn it inside out through this flap, and it will look like this, kind of puffy. Just got done turning it inside out like this, and you're going to come over to the iron and press it all out, making sure that it's all nice and crisp around the edges. And you're going to do the other one too. Now, different from the pattern that's online, I serge this and just turn it over one time. So we're going to go to the serger and serge these edges now. So you just got done flat ironing all this. So you're going to come over here and serge the edges. Now if you were just doing one, you would end there, but if you're doing multiple, you're going to put another one in and continue to sew, and then you'll bring it off and snip each of the edges like that, and then go on to the next side on the other side and do the other two. And then after this, it's going to be back over to the ironing board for your final pleat. You just got done serging the 2 ends right here. You're going to come over here and make a fold over pleat like this. So how you're going to do that is you're going to fold this with this open on the inside. Make sure you get that open on the inside and measure 1 3/4. Now you could make a template for that and put a piece of cardboard inside of here like this, so you don't have to measure it, but I find it just as easy just to use the gauge. And once you get an eye for it, you'll know exactly where it needs to go. So there you go, you have that in your that. Now we're going to go over to the machine and do a couple more things. So you just got done doing this fold over pleat, and I'm going to show you how to do the next step. Now this is a little different than the instruction video, because I'm going to show you a little bit more detail on how to do this. So what you need to do is fold this over, and these little things right here, this is really important that those two pieces stick out. So if they don't, you need to pull them out just slightly enough to have a little fold over. If you need to pin it, then this is how you would pin it, and you're going to sew right along this edge. So that's what we're going to do. I don't pin mine, so I'm going to show you the way that I do, and also going to show you how to sew one after the other. So here we go. So remember, these little pleats are going to come out, those little tucks. I tend to use scissors to ease it in there. Now if you're going to do the next one, you're going to do here, make sure that your little tucks, your little angles, whatever you want to call them, are out. Ease that in. I sewed over my finger once, so try not to do that again. So I've sewed 2 of them in a row, but if you were doing a number of these, if you're doing 20, 50, 100, whatever, you could sew one after the other. You can press that back out if you want to, but it's not real important. So this is how it's going to look. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to do the other side of the mask. These are the sides of the mask, and this is actually going to be your casing. Now they tell you to do it twice, but if you serge or finish the edge, you don't really have to do that as long as it's finished. Remember the little things I have to stick out here? Okay, so now you're just gonna cut in between here if you've got any little edges. So now the next step is what's confusing because you can't really see it in some of the other videos, but you want to flip these up like that and stitch them down like that. That shapes it around the face. Now if you need to pin it, you can pin across here and pin across here. I don't pin a lot of stuff, so I just put it in there, just gradually, just catch that just a little bit there and there. And then if I want to do a second one or whatever, however many you want to do, you do the same thing where you are catching those little edges, and that flips it up. You're going to see when it comes off of the machine how it cups up like this. Now we're going to flip it and do the other side the same way. Can you see that? It's real important that you do that. Gonna flip this up. Now it looks like you're doing it wrong, but you're probably gonna do it right. You might do it wrong a couple times, but do yourself a sample. So now I'm gonna have 2 of them all done, except for the last 6, so you can see the shape of it, and this shape's over the nose and down over the chin, so you don't really have to put the wire in there if you don't want to. I mean, you can add the wire, but it's not really necessary if it fits up over the face firmly, and these ones have been doing that so far. So this is what it looks like. This is a finished one right here, and you're just going to thread the elastic in on the sides and then tie a knot. I'll show you how that looks. So I just threaded elastic, probably about, you can use wider elastic, whatever you can find right now, either 8 to 10 inches. You should try it on and sample on and see how long for your specific elastic, and then I pull that knot back over. So that is the finished project right there. Take this and you're gonna lay it down like that and stitch across right here and right there.